There's data in the literature stating that the longevity of the older generation Medtronic CRT-Ds is on average about 5 years. So our aim was to evaluate whether the newer generation of these devices had extended longevity. So in order to do that, we analyzed over 4,300 patients from the CareLink database. The CareLink database is actually the online platform for remote monitoring for Medtronic that captures all the projected longevity data. Okay, so what we found was that the average longevity of the newer devices, the Vizia XT family, was extended to 8 years on average. And that of the newest generation, the Claria and Amplia family, was actually extended to an average of 9 years longevity. So that's considerably longer than the 5 years longevity of the older Consulta family. There are different reasons for this, namely three. First of all, hardware. Secondly, the algorithms, and thirdly, the programming. Regarding hardware, there's a new hybrid battery that has a much higher capacity than the older batteries. There's a new circuit as well that reduces the consumption, and also we now have quadrupolar leads, which allows us to obtain better thresholds and therefore reduce the pacing amplitude. Regarding the algorithms, we have algorithms that allow to manage the thresholds, the captures, and allow us to program lower safety margins and thereby save energy. And there are also some charge saving algorithms that abort unnecessary charges for VTs that terminate. And regarding the programming, there's a definite trend now to delay therapy delivery by extending the numbers of intervals and the delay to therapy. And this avoids unnecessary shocks or unnecessary charging for true VTs that terminate by themselves, or also for inappropriate shocks. Coming back to your question now on how this will impact the box changes, we analyzed patients who are in class 3 heart failure and found that with the Consulta devices, the likelihood or the probability of them requiring a second device was about 50%. And this came down to 25 to 30% with the newer generation. For patients with class 2 heart failure who live longer, well, the probability with the older generation to have a third device was 53%, and that came down to 7% with the newer generation devices. Yeah, so for the patients to have a box change implies certain risks, and some of these risks are actually quite serious, like infection, for example, will require system extraction, which is a risky procedure. So having fewer box changes is very good news for the patient. So we did a cost analysis from the Italian, UK and Swiss perspectives, and I'll give you the data for the UK, which was in the middle. And what we found was that for patients with class 3 heart failure, with a newer generation of devices with the fewer box changes, there was a cost savings of about 8,000 euros on average with the new generation compared to the older generation. For class 2 heart failure patients, the cost savings was as much as 15,000 euros on average compared to the older generation. So fewer box changes is also very good news for the healthcare system.